One request: don't forget to subscribe and comment. He was looking at me again. And this time not just a glance. His eyes were fixed, low, intense, hungry. Walter wasn't even pretending anymore. I stood there, half wrapped in my robe, the morning sun slicing through the hallway and catching on the soft skin of my chest. I had just stepped out of the bathroom, and he was at the bottom of the stairs, acting like he was scrolling through his phone. But his eyes told a different story. He wasn't interested in what I had to say, or even who I was. He was looking at my body, and not for the first time. I should have turned around. I should have pulled my robe closed. But I didn't. I stood there, and I let him look. My pulse didn't quicken with shame. It sparked with something else. Power. Because that was the first time I realized he'd been watching me for weeks. Quietly. Secretly. And I had never let on that I noticed. Until that moment. That morning I made a choice. I let him see that I saw him. That I knew. And for the first time, I wanted to see what would happen if I gave him something to truly look at. But what followed, it wasn't just about attraction. It went deeper. Deeper than I was ready for. And it came at a cost I could never undo. Before I take you further, I just want to say thank you. Truly. To every one of you who supports this channel. Your likes, your comments, your shares, they mean more than you know. If you're new here, I hope you'll stay, subscribe, and join me in this journey. Because what I'm about to share changed everything. Back to that morning. And to Walter. He was my best friend's younger brother. 5 years younger, actually. Charming. Polite. 35. And newly separated. He had moved into our basement suite just 2 months before, trying to get his life back together. My husband, Frank, barely noticed. He was too caught up in stocks, deadlines, and tinkering with whatever he was doing in the garage. Frank hadn't touched me in 7 months. Said he was tired. Said he needed rest. I stopped asking. And the silence between us became a habit. Walter, on the other hand, started with respect. Too much, even. But then came the subtle things. A quiet compliment about my hair. Holding eye contact just a second longer than normal. Then the stares. Always when Frank wasn't around. At first, I told myself I was imagining it. But deep down, I felt it. A spark I thought had died in me long ago. One night after a long bath, I stood in front of my mirror, wrapped in nothing but a towel, and I shivered. Not from cold, but from realization. The next morning, I made coffee wearing a thin tank top, no bra, hair down. I moved slower. Deliberate. Pretending not to notice Walter standing in the kitchen doorway. But I did notice him. He changed the way he breathed. His hand tightened around the coffee mug. And when I turned slowly and caught him staring, I smiled. He looked away, embarrassed but not ashamed. There was something behind those eyes. Something bold. That was the moment I knew. He wanted more than just to look. But I didn't realize that I'd just opened a door neither of us would know how to close. There's something dangerously intoxicating about being seen. Not just looked at, but truly seen. And Walter. He looked at me like I was the last woman on earth. After that hallway morning, everything shifted. I started testing the limits. A robe that wouldn't close all the way. Shorts a little too tight. Leaning forward just a little too far when he was around. And every single time, I could feel his eyes on me. His tension. His wanting. It became a game. A silent electric game. And neither of us ever said it out loud. Until one evening, I took it too far. Frank was working late again. The sun had gone down, and the kitchen lights gave the room a soft golden glow. I stood barefoot on the cold tile, wearing fitted lounge pants and a snug white tank. Walter came upstairs, said he needed foil for leftovers. But I knew. He stayed. I moved slowly, pretending to look through drawers. And I could feel him behind me. Silent. Watching. My heart was pounding in my ears. When I finally turned around, his eyes dropped before he could stop them. I saw the blush rise up his neck. I stepped just a little closer. Not too much. Just enough. Did you find the foil? I asked. He nodded but didn't speak. This time he didn't look away. He looked right into me. His eyes were dark, wanting. Controlled, but barely. And then I dropped it. The towel in my hand. His jaw tightened. He stepped forward. Reached out. But he stopped. His fingers hovered, then pulled back. I should go, he said, hoarse. And he left. Not rushed. Not scared. Like he needed to leave before something happened. And the worst part, I wished he hadn't. That night, I laid next to Frank as he softly snored and stared at the ceiling. What was I doing? I had a husband, a marriage, a life. But when Walter looked at me like that, none of it seemed to matter. I avoided him the next day. I needed space. I needed clarity. But the universe, or something more complicated, had other plans. That night it rained. Hard. The wind rattled the windows. The power flickered. I went down to the basement to check for water damage. Walter was there. Shirtless. Sweating. Working out. Punching a bag in the corner, his body glistening, breathing heavy. He stopped when he saw me. "Everything okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Just checking for leaks." I turned to leave, but then he said my name. "Evelyn." I froze. He walked toward me slowly. I could feel the warmth of his skin, even without touching. He whispered, "I don't want to disrespect you, but I can't stop thinking about you. And the way you've been toward me." I turned to face him. Our eyes met. And in that moment, something inside me broke loose. I took his hand, whispered, then stopped thinking. And he did. He kissed me. The kind of kiss that makes you forget who you are and remember how alive you can feel. But even as it happened, something dark echoed in my mind. We had crossed a line, and there was no going back. It wasn't just once. That night it happened again. And again. I lost count. When Frank was gone, Walter appeared. Sometimes it was innocent, sometimes far from it. Mornings before sunrise, slipping into his room and sneaking out before the birds woke up. Each time riskier. Each time harder to resist. But I knew it would catch up. And one day it did. I had just come out of Walter's room, heart racing, lips swollen, when I walked into the laundry room to fold towels. I thought I had time. But Frank was home. Early. He sat at the kitchen table. His briefcase on the floor. His face blank. He didn't even look at me when he asked, "Where were you?" I lied. I said laundry. But then he said it. "I saw you." My heart stopped. "I came home early. I saw you come out of his room, pulling up your pants." My knees buckled. I grabbed the counter to stay upright. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just said, "Don't. Just don't." And then he left. Packed a bag. No slam. No scene. He just left. Walter didn't come upstairs for 2 days. When he did, I asked, "Do you even care?" He looked at me. Guilty, not devastated. "I never meant for this to happen," he said. "I never wanted to ruin your life." And that's when I knew. It was never love. It was escape. A fantasy come to life. He moved out the next week. No apology. No promises. Just silence. It's been 6 months. Frank and I are separated. There's no communication. No therapy. Just space. Cold, wide space. And sometimes, late at night, I sit alone in the kitchen and wonder what would have happened if I had just turned away that morning. Would we have made it? Would Frank and I still be whole if I had tried harder to fix us before I gave in to that craving to be seen? I don't know. But I've learned something. Being loved isn't always the same as being seen. And sometimes, what feels like freedom is just another kind of trap.